Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Fandom Feels Book Club from thefandom.net. This is episode number 10, and today we're going to be talking about I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson. And I am joined, as usual, by Nat
Hello.
and Ellie.
Hi.
Ellie's always proudly got the book on display.
I
So,
I got the paperback here. It looks very different from the hardcover, but it's interesting.
Oh,
it's
and
tiny though.
I do need to give a shout out to my friend Steph, because that's her copy of the book.
Well, kudos to Steph right there. Alright, so this is a really great book, and it's one that kind of sneaks up on you. I know we all really enjoyed it, and it's something that is hard to describe, I think, to someone who you don't want to spoil it for, but thankfully everyone here has read it, so we can talk freely. Because we've got the story of a set of twins. We've got Jude, who we're meeting at 16 from her perspective, and we've got Noah, who we're meeting at 13 from his perspective, and it kind of builds up until you're weaving the story of those 3 years together. And when you're talking to someone who hasn't read the books, you're essentially just like, and stuff happens.
I think that's literally what I put in the review.
Like, stuff happens, and it's really good, but I can't explain it to you because it's all just so tightly interwoven, and it would almost seem nonsensical if you tried to describe it.
Everything's a spoiler, or it just doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
Or both.
And I think that's the beauty of it. And I didn't read this book right away when it came out, and I heard so many good things, but all the descriptions are very vague, and I was like, I don't know if this is something that I would care about. And then I read it, and it was just so good.
So I remember my friend was reading it. Sorry, I kind of just jumped in there.
No,
I
go
remember
for
my
it.
friend was reading it, and she's like, I'm reading this book, and it's really weird, and it's really hard to explain, but it's really good. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then I read it, and then I understood.
Yes. All right. So let's talk about the narration, because like I said, we've got one character at 13, one character at 16. We see them kind of cross lives in the meantime. But whose narration do you think you ended up preferring? Jude or Noah?
That's a hard one to answer because
Excuse me.
it's first of all their personalities. I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, because I would say I like both of theirs because they're from different perspectives. I don't know if I can prefer one over the other.
Yeah.
Maybe Noah's, but then again, later on in the book, it's like maybe Jude.
Right.
So and there is a reason why it was done the way that it's done. Like, where
Absolutely.
Jude's point of view is at 16 years old, where Noah's is at 13. And but I think maybe like art-wise, I'd probably say Noah because his imagination is just amazing to me. Like, I love his description, where his mind goes when he talks about certain things and how he describes certain events in his life. I love that.
I think Noah's perspective has like a childhood buoyancy to it. I know that's like a weird word to use, but you know what I mean? It's almost like he can kind of spring back from anything in his youth, despite the fact that he's kind of an outcast and he's picked on and he has a lot of feelings that he doesn't understand, but there's still like this light to him that is so bright throughout. And I think as the book goes on, you start to see that in Jude more, but in the beginning of hers, you don't see that at all.
No.
So I think they almost like cross paths, and you like know him, or at least I liked Noah more in the beginning and the end. I think I ended up liking Jude more, but it's so hard to tell. They're pretty big deal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was interesting the way like they switched places in a sense. Like at the beginning, Jude was like the normal one, and Noah was this like bizarre artsy kid. And so it was Noah telling the story, and it was like these crazy things going on in his head, and a very artistic way of thinking. And then you're hearing from Jude later, and Noah has become the like normal one, and Jude now has this like artsy, crazy way of thinking. So, I'm sorry. I swear I had stopped coughing as of yesterday.
Okay, you're allowed to cough.
Yeah, well, you experienced how bad it was a week ago. So where was I going with this? It's interesting because so when I'm reading from Noah's point of view, I don't like Jude at all. And when I'm reading from Jude's point of view, I still like Noah.
You're just disappointed in him.
Right. So I think overall I like Noah better.
But Jude also made you like Noah better.
I don't
Kind
know. I don't know. It was interesting. I think I like Noah's story better. Can I just leave it at that?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, and we can get into their stories. This is not spoiler-free, boys and girls. So essentially, what we're seeing with Noah is the story of a kid who gets picked on, who meets a boy named Brian, who not only doesn't want to pick on him 24/7, which is an amazing thing, he's a kid he's kind of cool with the cool kids. He gets along with everybody, but he takes an interest in Noah, and the two become really good friends. And of course, Noah immediately realizes he has a massive crush on him.
As he should.
Yes, because I think that Brian is a great character. And then they hit a rough patch in there because neither of them know what to make of what they're feeling at, ages 13 and 14.
What they are both feeling, for the record.
Yeah. What they are both feeling. But they also have these, like, wonderful kind of, like, adventures, like, hometown adventures together that is just so, like, it speaks so loudly about the little pleasures in youth when they're, like, going around looking for moon rocks and things like that. Like, it just made me so happy, and those two characters
Space
together.
junk.
What?
When they were looking for space junk.
Yes, that was the wording.
Well, I don't remember that, but yeah, I like that too. I like the development of them, and they have like this little they have their little thing that they do, and it's special to them and stuff. So when they have to deal with outside forces, I guess then things get a little complicated.
And one of those outside forces in their childhood is actually Jude, because she's very popular. She doesn't want she doesn't want a whole lot to do with her brother. She's, and at certain points, I think Noah almost sees her as a threat to getting what he wants, because he's afraid that she or her friends will kind of turn against him at any moment and make his life just miserable.
Which she does.
She does unintentionally.
A lot of it was intentional.
I don't know.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, I don't know. I think, well, here's the thing. Like,
there's a difference between doing something because you want to piss off your brother a little bit, and doing something because you want to ruin his life.
Think about the two major things that she did when they were 13.
You can say them.
Well, here's the
She
thing.
purposely took the guy that her brother was in love with into a closet to make him think that she was making out with him. Number one.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't know her brother was in love with him.
Oh, yes, she did.
She did not.
Yes, she totally did.
She had an idea. Here's the thing. She had an idea. She didn't know for sure.
Oh, she knew.
Because
She knew.
no, she didn't know for sure because first of all, Noah wasn't telling her anything. He was kind of stepping away from their relationship. Remember that they are Noah and Jude. There's a reason why their names are put together like that because they are close. And somewhere in between, somewhere out, after the death of their mom, then things started breaking apart. So even though, she might have known, she didn't know for sure because he wouldn't tell her.
Okay.
And
what about never sending out his application? What about never sending out his application?
Yeah, but he threw away
That's what he wanted the most in the entire world.
He threw away the pictures that was supposed to be sent. Remember
she didn't know about those.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because he threw them away, and the only reason that.
Okay, I'm not saying Noah's perfect.
But you're already making her into an antagonist. But what I'm trying to explain is that neither of them are antagonists. They have problem points, but that's just growing up at 13 years old.
I know.
And
it definitely wasn't cool that she threw that away because what the hell, dude? But
well, they both do things to each other that obviously were not cool. She admitted to their dad what she did, but he also had his part. He, first of all, and this has nothing to do, he went into her room and tore up a picture that he drew that she gave the son for, and he totally messed that up too. I'm not, so both of them had their problem.
that picture, the story. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Everything comes full circle in this book. Everything.
So let's go on and we'll talk about real quick the 16-year-old Jude perspective, which, like I said, when it started, I struggled with it just because she's so into skepticism and she has all these weird ideals that she followed that she got from her grandmother. She has her grandmother's book of
Do you see ghosts too?
What?
At one point, doesn't she ask another girl if she sees ghosts too?
No.
No?
I don't think so.
She wonders about it. I don't know.
I think she thinks about it, but I don't think she asks.
Okay. Yeah.
She was like, oh, I wonder if she sees, she sees him too, but she doesn't actually outright ask. I don't believe so. So.
Okay. That sounds right.
But as it went on, we see Jude getting this internship, or that may not be the correct term, but essentially internship, work study, etc., to work with a famous sculptor because she's essentially failing at just everything else in art school. It turns out that, as much as she wanted to get in to kind of prove something, she isn't finding her niche, and so she kind of goes the distance to convince this sculptor, Guillermo Garcia, who is very disturbed in many ways, to take her on and make her his new apprentice, though he does already have an assistant named Oscar, who turns out to be a big part in both Noah and Jude's story. So it's and almost unwittingly to him, because it's not like he was ever trying to be a big part of anyone's story. He just kind of always fell into the right place in the right time, and I think that's what makes the Oscar character so wonderful to me.
Sorry, I just thought about the church scene.
Oh, the church scene is amazing. That's what I was like, okay, maybe I can understand her perspective.
Right? Yeah. Like,
Puny
oh,
boy.
wait, love story? Okay.
But then again, Oscar is definitely not perfect. He has plenty of faults. He is dealing with a lot of vices of his own. And so it complicates things quite a bit because he's, a young man with a lot of vices working with an older man with a lot of issues. And they're now trying to apprentice this teenage girl who has a lot going on in her head, but and they're all looking for that like breakthrough moment, I think. And what's great about the story is seeing them kind of work toward that together. So, but let's talk about 16-year-old Noah because while he may not be as bad as younger Jude, he still has become kind of like a popular kid. He hangs out with a lot of the people who bullied him when he was younger, and he's not standoffish to Jude, but he's not gonna try too hard with her. And you definitely
He's
feel
kind of accepted the fact that she's gone into a shell, and he's like okay with it when he
yeah,
probably shouldn't be.
yeah. I struggled with that too.
Yeah, I didn't like that he just completely lost the person that he used to be.
Yeah, I feel like there's this overwhelming sense of like disappointment from Jude, and you feel it too as a reader because you've seen from his perspective what a wonderful, like hopeful kid he was,
Mm-hmm.
and that's all basically been stripped down to the base of, first of all, pretending you're someone that you're not in many ways, and just doing what you have to do to fit in.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that happens to a lot of people as they grow up?
Shh. Yeah. I don't want to get into it, but actually, um, Noah's story actually kind of reminded me of somebody
Of
that
people you've known?
I don't know if I should talk about or not. It's not like I'm not gonna get into it.
Oh, of course. But I think in some capacity we all know people who that happened with, where as you grow up, you kind of lose that joie de vivre. I can't speak French, but the joy of life. Um, and you kind of just do what you got to do to be part of what you feel is
Society.
normalcy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But we see a lot of ticks with both Jude and Noah, including Noah has this thing where he has like his invisible museum where he has like snapshots from his life that he kind of turned into art in his head. Do you guys have any big moments that you ever like you've snapshotted in your head?
Probably if I, if I mean, there's significant moments in life that you just basically remember, and that would be that I would consider that my invisible museum. As far as making it into something artsy, uh, they're more like photos for me, I guess. I don't know about drawing or making it art like Noah does, but yeah, I'm more like a photojournalist when it comes to my invisible museum. So yeah, I believe that everyone has, those significant moments in life that they can piece together, and there are people that maybe you've not, been with or contacted in a long time, but they still are part of that museum, I guess.
All right, and I'd say that Jude's big quirk is that, like we were talking about, she's she's so into like mysticism and stuff like that. Do you guys have any like weird mysticism type of or superstitions that you really believe in? Like maybe not
Like
carrying in.
superstitions, probably. Well, I always think that I'm like, do I believe in ghosts? I think I do. I always like the old house that I used to live in. I was like, yeah, that one was haunted. This one's fine. This house right here is fine. But the other one that I lived in, yeah, no. I was like, yeah, that one was haunted, I would say.
I mean, I don't think I'd ever go as far as to carry an onion around in my pocket.
Why not? You never know when you're going to run into a vampire. Oh, that's garlic.
True.
Never mind.
Yeah, an onion's not going to do you any good against a vampire.
Unless they're allergic to bad breath.
I mean, like rabbit's feet and people like that you see things like that a lot, but
Oh, that reminds me of, I mean, it's funny how Jude tries to create her own four-leaf clover.
oh yeah.
And I was like, I wonder if people would actually, try and create, I guess you can try and create your own good luck. But
I used to put extra leaves. I used to just like hold extra leaves up to 3-leaf clovers and try to convince my friends that they were 4-leaf clovers.
As you're holding it in the middle.
Exactly. Like, look what I found.
It's a 4-leaf clover.
like, oh, can I see? No, I need to keep holding it right here.
No, don't look at it. Don't touch it. Just look.
Just look. Look with your eyes. Like, oh, hold it by the stem. No. I have to hold it like this. That's the rule for 4-leaf clovers. Didn't you know that? It's only lucky if you hold it in the middle. Anyway, I'm trying to think. Like, there are a lot of superstitions I, like, half follow. I don't know if there are any that I, like, completely 100% follow.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, it's funny because I probably don't even consider the ones that I do follow, or like not even superstitions, but your own weird habits. I am 20.
I do every time I go under a yellow or red light. I kiss the roof of my car.
Yeah.
I know people who've done that. Yeah. I knock on wood if I say something.
Oh yeah.
I knock on wood too, which is against
That's
my
probably
religion,
like the most
but,
common superstition.
Yeah,
But,
probably. This is not so much a superstition as it is a habit, but I suppose it is a form of mysticism. I am 28 years old, and when I am alone at night and I shut off the light before I go to bed, I will still take a quick hop onto the bed to avoid the inevitable creature underneath it that is going to run out and grab my feet.
I make sure I'm not hanging off the bed at all, because I think anything hanging off will be bitten off.
Yeah.
Understandable.
Like
Yeah.
things like that, you don't even think of. That is a form of, because, my logical brain knows that nothing's going to come out and grab me.
Wait, there's nothing living under your bed, Kate?
No, I don't think I have any creatures.
Oh,
I
I
could double check.
do.
If my computer would shift around a whole lot, it would be messy.
I keep my pet alligator under there.
Although I do find Grandma Sweetwine's Bible very way out there. A lot of the stuff that's in there, I'm like, the onion thing, the having to wear certain things or say certain things or something like that. Or yeah, if a guy gives you an orange, or if you give a guy an orange, I forget I'm like, what is that?
If someone gives you an orange, he'll steal your heart or something like that.
And I think though, when I was thinking about it,
passing the orange back and forth.
I know when I was thinking about it, you know how so Jude doesn't really have the imagination that Noah does when when he's describing stuff. Only later, when she's 16, when we find out, when we read her side, she does have a little bit of that. But her imagination comes from, I think, her quirky side comes from believing in Grandma's Bible, and believing all that stuff. Because Noah doesn't want anything to do with that. He doesn't even talk about it. It's only Jude. So, in a sense, they have their own little quirks. They just use them differently, and their own little belief system, I guess, or however you want to call it. They're what they believe in and how they work it. It runs two different ways, but they're kind of on the same level at the same time.
You know what that kind of made me want to get into a little bit is their parents, and how essentially one was always much closer to one parent than the other. Jude was always much closer to their dad, and Noah was always much closer to their mom. And as they became older, they both kind of became the parent that they were still trying to impress.
Oh.
Like Jude kind of, even though she had already passed, Jude was trying to
was always trying to win her mother's affection.
Yeah, she's kind of trying to take on the role that her mother had in the family of being the skeptic, the mystic, the one who was, kind of believed in the impossible, unbelievable elements around them, where you see Noah actually becoming much more straight-laced, more of,
his dad's
good little sporty son.
Only because Dad didn't know.
And I'm actually very happy that Dad was, really cool about it at the end. Because I feel like that's a plot line that plays out.
So knowing what we do about their mom, I didn't think about this until just now. I'm wondering if Noah was just so mad at his mom that he just started rejecting anything that was her.
Oh, I'm sure that definitely played a role in it.
Whereas Jude, who didn't know the truth, was still this piece is now missing. I need to
rebuild it.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely the case, and it's it's amazing how much the secrets that they keep, but that we keep in the more general fashion,
humans,
kind of build our lives. Because do you think that if Noah had told everyone from the get-go that she was having an affair and she was actually coming back to ask Dad for a divorce, that he would have been a completely different person at age 16?
So that's an interesting question. Do we think he did the right thing?
Well, to answer Kate's question, I don't know about being a completely different person, but there would have been changes.
Of course.
In his personality. I just don't know if they would be. The problem is we don't know whether it would have been worse or better than what they had gone through now. Obviously that's always a what if question.
I feel like it would have been worse.
I think it would have been better. Just because you hear it, they talked about how his dad never he was lost in this land because he didn't understand what had happened, because what Noah was telling him didn't fit with what he had experienced.
Well, I mean, he would have found the logic more. He would have found a better logic.
Yeah, it would have hurt more, but it almost would have been easier for him to move on.
For who? For Noah to move on?
The dad.
Yeah, but for Noah, I don't know if that would have made things better or worse for Noah either, having told his dad.
He wouldn't have had any secrets.
I wouldn't say that. We don't know if that would...
He would have had one less major secret.
Because basically that was just the last one. Wasn't that the last secret that they had kept was the way that the reason for the mom going to see their dad. I think that was the last secret that was that they had done, but he had like many more before that. Um, I'm just, I'm just saying I don't know. It could have been worse. It could have been better, but I don't know if they could have learned as what they did, going through that.
That's fair.
Being apart from each other.
Yeah. I think
As far as would wait, what was your question, Ellie? Like, would
Do you think he did the right thing in lying?
no. To tell you the truth, no. I mean, I wouldn't have done that. If I were in Noah's case, I wouldn't have. I don't think I've done that. I don't know if I would have said anything though.
yeah.
I think
To
his intention was pure.
his intention at the time was out of guilt though.
Was
He was
it?
scared. Yeah, it was because that's the reason later on he explains that
Oh.
when they confront Guillermo, he talks about how he said that because he was feeling guilty. He wanted to put the blame on somebody else, and that's why he told Guillermo what he told him. And but for me, I'm thinking that I probably just wouldn't have said anything, and would have kept it to myself. I don't know if that would have been healthy either. But yeah, it is what it is. I think they were lucky to have learned and gotten and at the end gotten reprieve from all of it. But I don't think Noah should have done what he did at
I
the
think
same
it's
time.
kind of hard to say. I don't know. I mean, was it necessarily the right thing to do? No, but was it the wrong thing to do? No, because he
I think what he
genuinely.
said to Guillermo was the wrong thing to do.
Totally wrong. Yeah.
Well,
But to his father,
maybe that, but there's also, if I had to put it in a perspective, especially a young teenager's perspective, if I found out one of my parents was having an affair, I would go postal.
right?
I
I'm
would
not saying it's not
absolutely do
understandable.
anything I could to destroy the person who,
Uh,
I felt was
I'm
responsible.
not saying it's not understandable, but it was wrong.
But that's the thing. Like they make mistakes all the time, and that one I
And then
don't. I'm
until
just saying I don't think he should have, but he did, and and he had his reasons to. It was understandable that he did what he did because this was right at the time he was so mad at her. He was so mad he totally destroyed the furniture. He was messing up the clothes. He was doing all this stuff, and then she dies, and he has no way of getting that back to where he can either apologize or just let out his anger like he wants to as a teen, because now he has this response. Now he feels like he has this you know this this guilt that it was his fault, first of all, that his mom died, and he wants to protect his family.
Yeah, I think a big
So
part of it too is in crafting that lie. He thought that his dad still had feelings for his mother and that he was expecting her to come back. So he was actually trying to make his dad feel better and
Yeah.
unknowingly made his dad feel worse.
yeah, because like it was an interesting situation, and to find out, 2 years later that he could have, saved them a lot of suffering if he had just told them the truth. But at the time, like I said, he didn't want to face it. He didn't want to deal with himself feeling guilty because as a 13-year-old who you're mad at your parent and then something happens to them, of course you're going to feel guilty about it. And unfortunately, it takes him 2 years to find out that he didn't have to feel that way. So it was interesting. I think that's why I really like this book, because it doesn't deal with like straight wrongs or straight rights and stuff like that. It's more or less like situations and how they deal with them.
It's one of those books that by the end you're like, wow, everyone in the story is awful and also amazing. amazing.
And also wonderful, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, I mean, let me ask you this: like, was there something in your teen years that you messed up really badly? And
No.
I'm pretty sure that most of my teen years.
oh, Ellie, you're lying already.
I mean, I was a perfect little angel. I'm not even kidding. No, I'm not even kidding. Like, I was literally the kid that when my friends were grounded, they would start to ask their parents, "Can I go?" And their parents would immediately say no. And then they would say they wanted to go hang out with me, and their parents would be like, "Oh yeah, go ahead," because
Well, I'm not
I was
talking about
that
just
good of an
being with
influence.
I'm not talking about just your parents, but I mean things that you've done that you might have shouldn't have done, and it doesn't have to do with parents, but like anybody, your friends, you
Yeah.
know, school.
I was a pretty awful teenager. So yeah, I probably could give you a whole laundry list, but
I honestly can't think of anything.
starting with a 15-year-old
Denial.
going up there.
I'm trying really hard.
Denial.
It's not never
You
you.
probably like erased it out of your mind, like I didn't do that. Look at your face.
No, I'm really trying. Excuse me.
It's okay. It's okay. We can move on. All right. So, fun little thing, just because I think it amuses the hell out of all of us. So, in this story, there is also, among all these like crushing, heartbreaking moments, a parrot. His name is Prophet, and all he says is, "Where the hell is Ralph?" What is your theory on Ralph?
Oscar. Um,
But why would the parrot know
I know it's not really
what to
Oscar,
say?
but she did find Ralph. Um, I mean, I assume it was like I feel like it was like a teenage kid at some point that was never home, and the parents were always saying, "Where the hell is Ralph?" I don't know.
I guess it could be like that.
It's
That's how I took
It
it.
was
along those lines of like a
like Ralph was Oscar was like the lost one, so he was found by
because even though
Jude.
he is not technically Ralph, like for
I
some
know.
reason, like I think the second or third time, because Prophet is mentioned several times over the course of the book. The second or third time, I don't know why I started to connect him with Oscar. It just kind of came through because Oscar was so mysterious and like maybe his name's actually Ralph. And he somehow belongs to this bird and this bird's family. And of course, that's not how it played out because this is not like Polly, but it's still just. It was one of those things that's like the little details that get thrown in there that just kill you in books. Because by the last time we saw him, I was just like, oh my god, the bird's here, the parrot's here again.
I'm glad they moved. At the well, no, I wasn't. I mean, it was funny. I think, yeah. I mean, aside from the comic relief that he kind of gave, um, I'm still trying to find a major significance about him aside from Oscar Ralph. I guess that's the only one that I can think of, though. And
All right.
yeah.
So let's just spell out because we've already kind of gone over it, but I just want to make sure we're really being specific. Which moment crushed you the most in all of this?
I think for me it was when um, I don't know. There was a couple of them. I think when Noah finally told the truth, that was one. I'm trying to think of a major significant one.
I think for me it was when Guillermo finally has his like full on I'm gonna lose my mind breakdown, and you realize that this woman he's been obsessing over the whole time was their mother, and at the same time Jude is kind of realizing it, and it's just like your heart's already kind of broken for him, not knowing the circumstance, and then when you get the full circumstance, it's just like, oh, I can't even handle this anymore. In a beautiful way.
I don't know. I think what affected me more was the pain that the twins brought on each other. The closet thing paired with the painting, paired with the not turning in the application. Like, that series of events was just destroyed me because like, there are people that are supposed to love each other more than anybody in the world, and they're doing things to like really hurt each other. And obviously, like, the stuff at the end gave me total feels as well. But there's just something about people that are supposed to be each other's biggest supporters working really hard to hurt each other that just destroyed me.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so slightly brighter news. This has been optioned for film.
Yay!
So we're hoping that very soon, but who knows how Hollywood works, we will be getting an I'll Give You the Sun movie. In which case, do you have any?
I think Dobby should play Oscar.
Oh my gosh. If
He's
only I
already
could
nude.
understand what he was
Here's the
saying.
nude model.
If only we could understand what he's saying, sure. That's a hard one.
You nude model every day. Yes, you do.
For me, I don't know, they have this tendency to age up the characters, especially when they're kids. So I would think that Noah would probably be about 16, and then of course Jude would be 18.
So would they be applying to college?
They could be in college. You could say she's at an arts college. You could
right. So like the younger
18.
version of them is applying to art college.
Mm-hmm.
And then the older version is in
art college.
In different.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, with that in mind, then the actors tend to be older too. So I like someone around 18 or 20 would be playing these.
I think they would want to age them up for the fact that they could have older kids play both if they did 18, 21, that they could have the same kid play 18 and 21, where you really can't.
That's true.
Yeah. That's why I'm saying that's that would be the case. As far as
youth in it is just like so important to me that would be a real bummer.
What would?
If they did age them up, just because I feel like the youth element in the story is so
right. So I feel like Noah's story in particular wouldn't be the same if he was older, because there's something because he's right around puberty. That's the whole point. It is. That's exactly the whole point. He's hitting puberty right there in the book, and it's affecting him. Whereas if he was like yeah, you could have some of the same problems when you're a couple years older, but it's not grounded the same way.
Mm-hmm. I really can't fan cast for the two of them. That is very hard for me. I feel like other characters are easier. Like, for some reason, the entire time that I read this, Guillermo was Javier Bardem.
I knew you were going to say that, because I was thinking the same thing.
I can see that.
Just because he plays those type of tortured
Yeah,
characters.
the
Wow.
kind of like the gruffy, you know,
You don't want to mess with me,
angry
but
type.
seriously. Yeah. But I've actually got a heart of gold underneath, even though you really don't
Yeah.
want to mess with me.
I mean, yeah, he's played killers and stuff before, and, but I could still see him playing this part.
I feel like I could picture Oscar the best as I was going through this, though I wasn't picturing anyone in particular. I don't know if that makes sense.
He's got the accent.
Maybe the guy. I feel like I'm seeing the guy from If I Stay.
What's his name?
Oh, Jamie Blackley.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
He is British. He has the curly hair. I could definitely see that.
I think that's who I saw.
Yeah, that would make sense.
I could see that. I know it's probably not the most solid, but I can kind of see Robert Sheehan, who was most famously in Fandom Simon in the Mortal Instruments, but has been in a whole lot of other things. The Mortal Instruments movie.
Yeah. The Mortal Instruments City of Bones movie.
One.
Yeah.
But he's been in a lot of things, and usually he does a little more like cheeky humor in his stuff, but I have seen him in more serious roles, and he does like a really good job with that. So I feel like he would be an interesting choice.
Yeah. Although I think he's a little older than I had imagined.
Yeah, I think he would require an age up for the other characters because I think he's about 25 or 26.
I mean, he played, 17 2 years ago, so...
Yeah. Well, that's the thing.
like, whatever.
One of those faces.
But now he looks 20
Older.
something.
And I feel like when it comes to YA adaptations, I don't want to say that like parental roles are interchangeable because they're absolutely not. But once you get into older actors, I feel like there are so many choices that there are also like several good choices, and so it's harder to narrow down the field and just say, "Oh, I'd really like to see that person."
Mhm.
Mhm.
Especially for the parents in Noah and Jude's case.
And Sandy.
Huh?
Sandy, Jude's art instructor, sculpting instructor.
That can be Stanley Tucci.
Okay, I could see. He could be another YA movie.
Stanley Tucci can be in whatever he damn well pleases.
He's not enough.
He's not in it. Oh, you
What
know
is
when
he
you
in?
said Michael
3,
Sheen?
4,
I thought you said
5?
Michael Sheen. I was like, for what? And I was like thinking you were talking about their dad, Michael Sheen as their dad, and I was like, interesting. And then you
I
said
thought of him too.
Mortal Instruments City of
thought you
Bones,
were
and I was like, oh, it's Michael Sheen, yeah.
Yeah, not Michael. Not Michael.
yeah, my mind jumped to him too.
I know, yeah, you said Robert Sheen, and then I was thinking, for some reason, Michael Sheen, and I'm all, okay. And then you said to play.
No, I don't think he'd be the like jock dad type. No.
I know because their dad. It's weird. He's into sports, but he's all logical.
Mhm.
So.
Well, he wants his son into sports.
Well, yeah, but
yeah.
because he wants, obviously his dad wants some. Oh, that was probably one of the slightly heartbreaking moments was when when him and Noah go out, and Noah's like, you don't even know. He just takes his son out to dinner. You're thinking, oh, okay, father-son moment. It was his freaking birthday. So, and I just heard myself echo. It was his freaking birthday, and I just felt really, really
And
sad.
then when he packs the suitcase and the only thing he brings is the drawing.
Oh yeah, exactly. The drawing that he made for his birthday.
Oh
You
my
know.
god.
I mean, but see, that's the thing. Is like there's a lot of those moments, and I haven't been able to read another YA book yet since then. Like I've taken this week to read something else, not YA.
Wait,
And
there are things that aren't YA?
oh yes,
What? Wait,
They do
I
exist out
don't see
there in the
any.
open.
they do exist.
No, this is all YA. My entire bookshelf is YA. That's all that exists.
No,
I don't
there
know what you're
are other
talking
things.
about.
There are other things that I need to read
I don't
besides
even have Red Rising and Golden Sun on here, so everything is YA.
that. But anyway, there's like just so many moments in the book that I just felt like I connected with. Well, here's the one thing I wanted to know is like, do you guys think
Yep,
that
every
it
single
was
one.
his mom saving him from dying when Noah kept jumping off the cliff?
That was weird. Yeah, that was one of those, like, I don't know how to explain it things.
Yeah.
I mean, well, yeah, there's that, and then the whole idea that I mean, I guess it's more explainable for Jude's creations to break or fall apart or
Hmm.
explode for whatever reason, but at the same time, if they're both experiencing different, odd things, I'm like, I don't know. That's why I'm like, yeah.
My mom
did
is trying
wonder.
to ruin my artistic life.
But she's sending out a message, and the thing is that everything worked at the end, and that's what gets me. I was like, it actually did. It actually worked. I'm like, maybe their mom was there.
Yes. I'm
Trying
pretty
to make
sure.
everything better, because even she probably has like unfinished business.
Mhm.
So she's taking care of all of them. Just took them 2 years. That's all.
Yeah, I think that's what's great. I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but this was a 5-star book for all of us.
Yes.
Yes.
Completely.
And it's just one of those that it's so hard to explain to other people, but I will forever recommend it to people who I know like contemporary YA because it's just such a good read and it's so strong and like I cannot say enough about it.
Sorry.
I
I was just glancing through and I saw, where the hell is Ralph?
I wasn't even interested in reading it, and then I was hooked right from the beginning.
Yeah, I think I once I
So
hit a certain point, I clearly was not going to put down the book like I was reading for the day. It's one of those books.
Could we, before we go, can we talk about Brian's story in the end?
I mean,
Okay. Yeah.
The fact that, like, this kid who was terrified about people finding out about him, and then left and just, like, dropped everything, and all of a sudden he's, like, basically famous as somebody that's, like, out and okay and moving on and everything's great.
I
And
did kind of feel like he was a jerk for leaving Noah behind.
completely, but then he ends up being this, like, awesome person that's able to embrace who he is.
Mhm.
So by the time he comes back into Noah's life, he's grown so much, and you're just like, oh, now he can, like, because Noah still hasn't embraced who he is, because he kind of, after all of that happened, Noah just kind of shut himself down for
they
a while.
both did bad things to each other, I think.
Completely.
Beforehand, and of course, again, to me, that's just a sign of them growing up and just trying to to find out how they can, I guess, either explain who they are to the people closest to them. Because, again, Noah had never said anything to Jude until they were, you know, speaking again, you know.
Mhm.
And,
And
when
I love
she
that it was
asked,
Jude that
finally,
found him, though.
Yeah.
what?
I love that it was Jude that was like, I'm gonna look him up,
Oh, yeah, well,
and
she
like
wanted
found
to.
all that
She had
stuff.
her own guilt. She had her own guilt for, doing what she did to
Oh,
Noah for not sending that
as
stuff.
she should have.
Yeah, but like again, it all worked out. But that's why she was saying her mom is breaking her stuff because her mom knew what she was doing, and she knew it too. So she had her guilt, and she kept secret of that. Where Noah had his guilt, and he kept secret of that too.
Mhm.
So that's why I can't ever say like I don't like one or the other. I can't choose a side, I guess.
Yeah. And I
Because I
think
think that I feel for both of them in the sense that they make these mistakes. But I'm so happy that Jandy had given them the outcome of what is it you know what do you
Sorry,
call
I
it?
just got so mad at Oscar for that scene in the bedroom. Okay.
Oh well, no, I mean
I know.
just
I care too
for
much about the romance stuff. In every series. I'm like, which is ironic, but we're not getting into that right now. Um,
well, just for being able to, she gave them just the ability to redeem themselves from it, and we got to witness that. That way, that's why I can't hate one for doing one thing and not hate the other.
yeah, and
And I
everything
can't like
did.
one for doing one thing and not the other.
Yeah, and everything did work out the way it should have in the end.
it's all kind of about coming full circle.
Right. So every single character was able to grow in whatever way they needed to be okay in the end.
All right. So, any last thoughts before we wrap up?
This book was really good.
Yes. This book was excellent.
Dobby, stop it.
And
Well,
since
this book actually inspired me to want to write more. Unfortunately, time hasn't given me that option. But I have been wanting. I have like a couple of ideas in my mind now because of that book. So I'm happy for that.
Inspiration.
Aside from that, we
all
want to
right,
talk about next month's.
Oh,
next month,
where is
yeah.
it? Where is it?
It's behind
No,
me.
no,
So
I know it's behind you. Where is it? Oh, here it is. It's hidden. Okay.
next month we are doing another really, really awesome book, as we do on this little show here. We are going to be talking about Lee Bardugo's Six of Crows, which
It's black
which
pages.
every yes, it has the ink stained pages, which are incredible, and the whole book is incredible. And it's kind of the opposite end of the YA spectrum, where this is a very high fantasy adventure awesomeness. And I cannot wait to talk about it with you guys. And we will be doing that on December 21st.
I think so, but yeah.
Okay. I know there was a discussion.
Anyway, it's the fourth Monday of December.
The fourth Monday is the 28th after the holiday. Was
Yes,
I
that
think we
because
decided
two
on
of
the
us
fourth.
will not be available the third Monday.
okay? So we
I will be not in
the country.
the 50 states.
Okay,
Not technically out of the country, but not in a state.
but in a territory.
Yes.
Hey, we obviously will not be doing that. We are going to do December 28th, Lee Bardugo's Six of Crows. That gives
6
you
dangerous outcasts, 1 impossible heist.
Yes, that gives you plenty of time to read it if you haven't already. So, oh my God, do it. You do not know what you're missing out on.
Should we talk about the following month since there are multiple books involved?
We can, though. Are we still going with the third Monday because we have not pinned down the date yet?
Well, I mean, we can still say that it'll
Let's
be
just
in
say the books.
January.
All right, we will say the books. So in January, we are going to be doing a 2-book book club for a very important reason. They are both really good books, and they are obviously the first 2 in a trilogy.
And the third one comes out in February!
Yes. They are Red Rising and Golden Sun by Pierce Brown, who just writes incredible, incredible sci-fi. And these books will blow your mind if you have not read them yet. So prepare to discuss because it's going to be awesome.
And we'll probably go over an hour on that.
Yes, that will probably be a lengthier discussion. We're probably looking at an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Because we're talking of 2 amazing books.
Yeah. But for now, it looks like it's time to bid everyone adieu. So, good night, everyone.
Good night. Dobby says good night as he looks at me.